Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with a Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers Show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza.
Have no fear, your host, SteelFlyers, is here.
Thank you, that is the always super co-host, RoNece.
The Chiefs versus the Eagles, who you got?
The State of the Flyers address via torts?
AHL All-Stars Foerster and Attard from the Phantoms.
Brian Flores leaving Pittsburgh for the Vikings. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SteelFlyers Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh. I tell you what. We're getting ready for that big game coming up here soon, and
yeah, the one with the super owl or the super
whatever
owl.
Yeah, whatever. 57. Gosh, I can't believe 57. So what has been really cool is watching the NFL Network has been replaying all of the old Super Bowls from back in the day, and of course, I get to watch the
NFL Films versions.
Yeah, I get to John Facenda, with Terry Bradshaw winning the Super Bowl. It's like, all right, yeah, it's like you don't get that anymore.
No.
You don't get that anymore. NFL Films has obviously gone through major changes with the Sables passing on and everything, but those guys were innovative and things of that nature. So
they really helped make football, I know this is blasphemy, but mostly the U.S.'s national sport. It used to be baseball, but I think football has surpassed that.
All day long.
Or the other argument is the NBA. It's kind of a toss-up between the two, depending.
Okay, yeah, because the NBA gives out those really super big guaranteed contracts. Those are the max contracts, $150 million, you know what I mean? And we're just now starting to see that happening in the NFL. But see, those contracts are for 4 years.
Right.
Right, where you're seeing contracts in the NFL for much longer. Okay, and Major League Baseball kind of is the same thing, where they're signing guys now to 10-year contracts to, $300, $400 million.
Right.
Which is still $30 million a year.
It's a ridiculous amount of money. I'm sorry.
Exactly. So, first of all, we would like to say big props and big thank you to Spreaker for all of your help and assistance for bringing the SteelFlyers podcast to all of you guys out there listening. We really appreciate all the work that they do. They bring us to all of the podcasting platforms that you get to enjoy us on, from Google to Spotify to iHeart to Apple to Amazon, you name it. You just type in SteelFlyers Podcast and you will find us. And then all you have to do is just give us those 5 stars and keep listening. And we'll keep putting out all the great stuff for you guys. So thank you very much for that. We would also like to say big thank you for Manscaped, because this is brought to you by Manscaped.com. That's right, folks. How about that, man? All you have to do is go to Manscaped.com and type in the promo code SteelFlyers and get 20% off your entire order. Stay tuned for a little bit more information later in the show, where you can get this great offer from Manscaped, brought to you by Manscaped.com. Thank you very much for that. All right. We are in Season 2, Episode 20.
Wow.
Episode 20, I know. It's like, I can't believe we've done this many.
I can't either.
Right? So, we got a lot of stuff to get into here, and we're going to get right into it, and there's a lot of great things to talk about, even though it's, golf season for the Steelers. There's been some things that have happened. The Flyers are still playing. The Phantoms are playing. There's been some things that's been going on in Formula One. We'll get you caught up on some of those little things, too. And also, of course, we'll bring you some Steelers news. And of course, some Phantoms facts, and then, we got to talk about, the Chiefs versus the Eagles.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's a football game this weekend?
I mean, just maybe, the biggest game of the year.
I don't know if I just don't remember wrong, if I remember wrong, but it just seems like the Super Bowl has become so overhyped. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost not about the actual game anymore. It's about the commercials and who's doing this and...
Who's the halftime show?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Who's this and who's that? And, I got to be honest with you. And it's all about, like, the whole week up to the game.
It's so...
Okay? But the whole week leading up to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should say the game this weekend.
Yeah, because we're really not technically allowed to say.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But the whole week leading up to it is all the press conferences and all of the... All that hype.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
And the coverage 24/7 from all the talking heads. And
how many times can you talk about the same thing over and over again?
See, honestly, I would love to be able to go to do Super Bowl coverage. Yes, even though I'm a Steelers fan, I would love to do Super Bowl coverage because I would like to be able to ask these guys questions. Just that's all I want to do. I just want to be part of the press corps that gets to ask these guys a question. Do you know what I mean? Because I guarantee you that I can come up with some pretty darn good questions as to what's going on, Everybody's talking about, the Kelsey brothers and mom and all this other stuff, but
I had that thought the other day. She's the only person in the entire history of the Super Bowl that can honestly say for certain she will have a son with a Super Bowl ring this Sunday.
That's not true.
No? No,
that's not true. When the Harbaugh brothers met in the Super Bowl, they were both coaches. They weren't players.
Okay, the only player's mom.
But Harbaugh's mom...
That's true.
Was going to have a son that was going to have a Super Bowl ring. So, I mean, what?
But, that's such a unique position to be in.
It is,
Do you know what
right?
I mean?
So, what do you say we dive into that first?
What, the game?
Let's talk about the Eagles and the Chiefs. Right?
Okay.
What do you think?
All right,
so... I'm going to pose this to you, and then...
I have to make one caveat.
Okay.
I can't predict the game because I don't want to jinx it.
All right, I'm with you on that, and I understand, and I completely understand that, all right? So, but let me say this. So... Who you taking?
Well, like I said, I don't want to...
And why?
I don't want to say, because I don't want to jinx either team. See, here's my problem with this game.
It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters.
Just let me finish.
All right.
I like the Chiefs. I think they're a really good team.
Yeah.
I like Patrick Mahomes. Is he a little overrated? Yes, but I still like him.
Ooh, I don't think he's overrated.
All right, well...
But, all right, continue on.
I really like that team. Like, if, that's one of my backup teams, how the Chiefs doing. Okay?
Along with the Bears and... Anyway.
The other thing I like is that Andy Reid is going to have his revenge game against the team that fired him.
Maybe.
Well, even if they don't win or lose, he still gets to go up against them to show that, he had the talent to get a team there. He just needed the right players. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I get what you're saying now.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's the Chiefs' argument.
Proves to the Eagles that they made a mistake in firing him.
Correct.
All right.
And fighting him for many years about, when he was trying to make the team better. And, they just went back and forth. Anyway. And then you have the Eagles, who are closer to my hometown than any other football team, who many fans are... people I work with who are hardcore Eagle fans. And so I'm kind of swept up in that because, yes, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. If I'm going to, got to root for the almost hometown team. So right. Now what do I do?
Okay.
I like both teams. I want them to both win. And that can't happen.
All right, I can understand your dilemma.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
I see where you're coming from, and I can understand your dilemma. So, coming from somebody who has none of those reservations that you do and doesn't have any of those thoughts or opinions that you do, I look at things a little bit more analytically, I would say, maybe.
Okay.
And so, here's kind of what's going on. The reality is that Kansas City offense is banged up, starting with their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
now,
he was...
We saw him play the championship game in Cincinnati, and he was hobbling around that field.
Yes,
you know
he
what
was.
I mean? Okay? And there were times where he was slow to get up. And so that's what concerns me. Now, do they have 2 weeks for him to heal up and treatment, blah, 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 blah. Yes, great. But your receiving core, Juju Smith-Schuster, is listed as questionable with a knee. The rest of your receiving core is banged up as well, too. You've got some of your offensive line is banged up on
That was
City.
the other reason I liked Kansas City, is because that's where Juju is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So we got a really interesting Steelers connection on this one here for you guys here. Just hang tight on that one, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with Kansas City. Do I think Kansas City's defense, and if they're going to be able to take care of the, Philly offense, because Philly scores about 31 points per game-ish, has been their average this year.
I know.
And even though there's been some teams that they've lost against, one, but it was kind of a fluky, you know what I mean? It was like
the Dolphins in '85 for the Bears. They had to
whatever.
lose one or something.
Yeah, whatever. But so that's kind of where I'm at here on this. I think that the Philadelphia offense is going to be a good matchup to the Kansas City defense.
Okay.
And I think they're going to probably see some things that they haven't seen so far this year. Okay.
So you think it's going to be a good game?
I think it's going to be a flippin' shootout, man. I'm looking like 38 to 27 or 38 to 24 or something like that.
Okay. We'll see.
So that's my score prediction.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went all the way. I went all the way with prediction of it. I gotta be honest with you now. This is completely and utterly based off of the health of said
quarterback.
But I think Kansas City's gonna.
I don't know.
Philadelphia's got a dang good team this year, and man, I'll tell you what, Jalen Hurts is the man.
Don't do that again.
But I mean, as far as quarterbacks are concerned, this year I think he definitely deserves the MVP.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts, all day long.
Okay.
So will he be able to pull it off and get it done at the Super Bowl? That's going to remain to be seen, and if so, then good on you. And not far from the from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network studios, there'll be pole climbing and another parade down Broad Street.
Yeah, I don't know if Philadelphia can handle having a Super Bowl team and I'm sorry, not a Super Bowl. I did not say Super Bowl. I'll stop saying Super Bowl now.
Okay. Well, we tried anyway. Just kill us now. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. Seriously, honestly, I don't care.
Okay, so there's two facts that I'd like to bring up about this particular game.
Oh, okay. What would they be?
One.
It's a football game.
One. There will be a former Steeler that will win
Oh yeah, I was going to get to that.
Yeah, that will win this game.
Yeah.
So not only as long as two brothers, we can guarantee a former Steeler will also have a ring.
Right, exactly. So one of the Kelsey brothers will have a ring, and a former Steeler, Javon Hargrave, that plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Juju Smith-Schuster, who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs.
You know who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, well, Juju.
Right.
I hope he gets to play, too. That would be great. I would like to see Javon Hargrave make it as well, too, because I think the Eagles have a really good team. I just don't know if Kansas City is able to put up some offense, and Patrick Mahomes isn't quite as hobbled as he was in the championship game, and some of his receivers are healthier, and so I just really think that Kansas City might have too much offense for Philly's defense, although I think Philly has the more complete team, so it might come down to special teams.
I mean, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
The other fact that I'd like to tell you is Donna Kelsey brought cookies to the opening of the game, the festivities for the game. She brought her son's cookies.
Aww.
Isn't that sweet? Your sons are making more money than you will ever see, but you brought them cookies.
Well, I'll be bringing them cookies. You know what I would do? Mm-hmm. I would get them mixed up. I would give one brother the box of cookies that was supposed to be meant for the other brother. Mm-hmm. On purpose. So that he would be sitting there in the locker room going, "Hey man, Mom sent cookies," and she opens it up and they're in the Eagles locker room and they're Kansas City cookies. Wait a minute. They look like Kansas City, And, all right, I'm sorry.
You mean those really fancy cookies that are all flood icing and all
whatever
little details that are
right? Yeah,
you're like you can't possibly eat it because there's an inch thick icing topping and.
Well, no, I was just going to go in with a design that they were Kansas City cookies, and she would purposely switch them up.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
Anywho, rooting for the hometown team, yeah, but kind of thinking that it might be the other team that might win.
This might be the first game that I'm not going to be unhappy whoever wins. I will be happy for who wins. I'll be sad for who loses.
But you'll be happy no matter whoever wins.
Correct.
All right, I'm cool with that. Let's talk about some things that mean some things to, say, the Steelers. What do you think?
Yeah, all right.
I mean, since we're already talking about the NFL, what the heck, right?
Okay.
So, some things have happened here with the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last couple of days here, haven't they?
We lost a coach.
Or did we?
Well, he's going on to a brighter and greater, colder field, so...
Well, let's face it, he was completely and utterly... I mean, he was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins 2 years ago. Like, he's 1 year removed from being a head coach.
Right.
So he was utterly overqualified for being a defensive consultant linebackers coach for the Steelers. Like, really? Okie dokie. I mean, obviously, much more qualified to be...
At least a defensive coordinator.
Right, for the Vikings. So, Brian Flores leaving. Okay. That was the coach that left. Obviously, last show we talked about the coach that's staying being Matt Canada. But, hey, man, you know what? Here's kind of where I'm thinking about this, right? No excuses.
That's what you said last time.
That's right.
This is your last shot, buddy.
That's right. I'm here to tell you, man. I'm going to be... You thought I was critical this past year. You're in for a whole season. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Okay.
Every blade of grass that's wrong.
Okay. Every pigeon that flies away.
Every pigeon that flies away. Every time Kenny Pickett's sacked. What? And if they don't pick some offensive linemen in this coming draft, and if they don't do some things to help this team win, then...
So, who do you think that they... I know who you think they should pick. Who do you think they will pick?
I have no clue. I have no clue who they're going to pick. None. Because this is complete new administration now. This is Omar. Kevin Colbert isn't here.
Yeah.
Right? This is him now. So I have no idea.
Okay, so who would you like them to pick? I know Joey Porter Jr. is one of them.
Okay. I mean, he's one of them. But I'll tell you what. If the Steelers have the 17th overall pick and they basically get to have their druthers of who they, whoever they would like to pick or, whatever, I would have to say that, yeah, I mean, he's on the list. The guy that most people have them picking is Cam Smith from South Carolina, which I'm not a fan of.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because I'm more of a fan of Christian Gonzalez. Yeah, I'm more of a fan of him because, well, his grade's better. He's an all-around cornerback. He's got the body. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. Do you know what I mean? I like him. Cam Smith is a guy that I wouldn't mind having.
But you'd like someone else better.
The problem with him is this. Is he's got the size. He's 6 foot, right? But he's a football player and not just a cornerback.
Okay.
Okay, and so, yeah, I would like a football player playing on the team, but maybe not at that position.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay, and now he is one of the ones that has some of the most pass breakups and some of the most interceptions. Okay, and that is what kind of puts him up there. But when you look at Joey Porter Jr., or if you would look at, say, Christian Gonzalez, I mean,
he's a duck.
Yeah, and even Devon Witherspoon, whom I don't think is going to be there at 17.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why I didn't even look at him, right? So, or what I would really like to see would potentially be, and I've seen this name as well on some of the other, mock drafts and stuff like that, and that is an offensive lineman. His name is Skoronski from Northwestern.
And here's $1 for pronouncing that correctly.
Right.
That's getting as bad as hockey names, man.
Yeah, I mean, that does kind of look like a hockey name there, too, doesn't it, right? You know what I mean? Like, and now playing left wing is Peter Skoronski. But no, he's a junior, and he is, I believe he's a tackle. I believe that's where he's at. Yeah, tackle. Okay? And I don't care about what any of y'all say or think. Pittsburgh needs a tackle.
I'll agree with you.
Okay? Because the two we got ain't getting it done.
No. Do you know how many missed tackles we've seen this year?
Not missed tackles, but, the fact that run blocking wasn't all the way there when it should be, and pass blocking wasn't all the way there when it should be, and how many offensive penalties that we have, ineligibles and, the whole 9 yards and blah, 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 blah. And that just goes to show you that you need either talent or coaching.
Right. Or both.
Or, hey, how about sprinkling a little bit of both? Let's get a good offensive line coach and sprinkle in some talent. Like by drafting one of these players. Right? So I would go either offensive line, one of those guys that Skoronski wouldn't be bad. I would not have a problem with him. This kid here, Broderick Jones, I've seen this name mentioned as well because he's from Georgia. Played really well as well, too. Cody Mauch, or Mauch, Mauch, from North Dakota State. Really nice lineman there, too. I really like what he's bringing to the table as well. So there's quite a few guys on the list that I think would fit perfectly in with Pittsburgh as well. Okay. So, I mean, even you get down to DeJuan Jones from Ohio State, man, geez, he's even projected late second, or, late day second, you know what I mean? But most of all these guys, like here, that day two, early day two, which Pittsburgh has the first draft pick of the second round.
Right.
So you get the pick of any one of these guys if you don't, you know what I mean? If these guys are still, so that's kind of where I'm at with this. I think Pittsburgh needs that cornerback. I think Pittsburgh needs a tackle or something on the offensive line to get rolling on that all day long.
Okay.
I know that a certain 5-star matchup will completely and utterly disagree with me on this, but I think then a defensive lineman would be next on the docket for me, where he would like to see in the top 3 picks the Steelers would make a wide receiver. I would pick a wide receiver more in the 5th or 6th round instead of in 1st or 2nd round.
Okay, so can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So Mason Rudolph is gone.
Well, he has expressed interest in the fact that he would not like to return. So, yeah, I mean, so it's all going to depend on who the Steelers draft. And so here's the other things, too, and that is Mason Rudolph would rather not like to be retained, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, shock, surprised, and all, would like to retain Intercepsky. So, okay.
The reason I brought that up is there a backup quarterback possibly that they could draft in this draft?
So, drafting a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this draft would probably send the wrong message to the quarterback that we picked in the first round last year.
Okay. Just wasn't sure.
I mean, I really honestly felt that there was a better quarterback crop this year than there was last year. Kenny Pickett has obviously proven to be, the one that was the most NHL or NFL ready. But even he struggled, and of course he also had two concussions and missed some games and then came off the bench and yada yada. Yakety schmackety, so.
Because obviously they're not going to keep, what's his name either, correct?
Mason Rudolph is gone.
Right.
He wants to be
the one
gone.
who started the season.
Turbisky.
Yeah.
Intercepsky.
Oh, I see.
He wants to. They want to keep him. The Steelers want to keep him.
I see.
Okay, now you understand why I'm scratching my head here.
Yeah, see, I didn't understand that reference before. That's why I was a little confused.
Okay, there you go. We got you now. We got you. We're back on track.
So, the Steelers were looking forward to next year, correct?
Well, I think they were looking forward to next year when they drafted Kenny Pickett.
I think they were looking forward to next year after the second game. First game we won. It was like, yay! And then the second game, yeah.
No comment. I have hours of radio time of exactly my opinion and position on that very topic. And, well, let's just say that if Kenny Pickett was the best quarterback in the room to begin with, why didn't he get the first rep in camp? Why didn't he get to go through training camp and be the number one starting quarterback with Turbisky as the backup to begin with? Do you know what I mean?
I know.
It put him back by 3 months.
I do. I think that was a problem. He should have started in training camp.
Exactly. And played in some preseason games as the starter, and then gone into week 1 as the starter. then I think we'd be having a different conversation about the 2022 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Correct.
I just think we would have. Because if we would have won maybe, say, 2 of those other games, then that would have meant that we would have made the playoffs.
We would have had more control over if we made the playoffs.
True. And we would have been going in with a hotter team because we were winning in December.
Right.
Did you hear that, folks? Wow. For the first time since, 2017-18 season, the Steelers winning in December? Anyhow. But these are the kinds of things that are going to happen for the Steelers, I think. The draft is going to have to be good for them. And, here we go. We'll see what happens with the quarterback situation. If they bring Turbisky, if he stays, it's going to cost him $10 million on the cap space, and Pittsburgh doesn't have cap space, even though the cap went up $42 million. Pittsburgh is already beyond it, so it's not going to help. So, with that being said, we would like to take a moment right now to bring a message from our sponsors. So we're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Oh.
Support for the SteelFlyers All Sports Network and SteelFlyers.com is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. That's 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SteelFlyers at Manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 14 million balls. The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0, this trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say the greatest ball trimmer ever? The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 4000K LED spotlight in case you need a more precise shave. Because this trimmer is waterproof, you can say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor. You thought that was good, but want to take your grooming even to the next level? Well, the Performance Package 4.0 also comes with the Weed Whacker nose, ear, and hair trimmer. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate nose holes. Their Crop Preserver ball deodorant and Crop Reviver ball toner will change the way you approach the hygiene routine. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts for their Performance Package 4.0. The Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort in boxers to another level. It's time to take care of yourself to go to themanscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code SteelFlyers. That's right, folks. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SteelFlyers at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com. Use the code SteelFlyers. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. And we're back!
Okay.
Right. So, big thank you to Manscaped for their support and for bringing that great deal for you guys out there. So you got to go check it out, man, for sure. Let me tell you, folks, it's Valentine's Day is coming up, so got to check it out, man. And trust me, your lady will like it too.
Okay.
So, we're going to talk about your favorite and mine, the Philadelphia Flyers.
So, I know I'm jumping a little bit, but I had a thought.
Okay. So before we get into this thought a little bit, let's kind of lead into the Flyers and give you a little breakdown. The Flyers were on a bye week, and they sent their representative to the All-Star game, which was Kevin Hayes. And so they're coming off of a bye week where they've had a week, an entire week's worth of rest.
Which means they're going to do terrible.
And they come out and play their first game against the Islanders.
And lose.
Oh, and proceed to lose to their backup goaltender. And, okay, the Islanders aren't even as... They're, like, kind of lower than the Flyers. And man, they looked good, man. Their power play scored for the first time in 25 games.
Of course.
And, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, so I guess the Bo Horvath trade worked out real good for you guys. You know what I mean? It got you a win against the Flyers. All right. So, so here we are now. The Flyers are back into the swing. They've got 30 games remaining.
Okay.
And they are 21, 22, and 9 for 51 points.
Okay.
Currently...
We're not going to make the playoffs this year, are we?
Well, hold on. Currently, there are 9 teams ahead of the Flyers in the standings. So, like, if the Flyers were, if the draft were to start, say, today.
Yes.
Okay? The Flyers would be picking 10th.
And not be in the lottery.
At all.
Right.
That's kind of bad.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not good. Moreover, you are going to go with a thought. Please enlighten us on this thought.
Okay. So, John Tortorella put out a letter to the season ticket holders and Inside Edge or whatever that is, right?
Yes.
And he talked about how, you know, he's really trying to rebuild the team. They're going in the right direction. La, wah, wah. You know, rah, rah, rah. We're doing great. We're not. But, you know, that's what he wants you to think. And you were questioning why the letter came from John Tortorella instead of from the general manager,
Chuck Fletcher.
Chuck Fletcher. Here's why I think they had Tortorella write the letter.
Uh-huh.
Everybody hates Chuck Fletcher. And if he wrote a letter, it would just piss people off.
Or...
So I think it was a PR move to have the coach do it because the coach is a little more favorable right now. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay. So, that's a very astute observation. Okay? It is. Because on the surface, that's exactly what's going on. John Tortorella is now become the face of the franchise, like AV was when he was coach. Okay? Now, I don't know about y'all, but let me ask you a question, okay? If you talk about, say, the Penguins, and the face of the Penguins is Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, and you say, hey, the Florida Panthers, and you say Kachuk, and you say, hey, the
Oilers,
and you say Draisaitl and McDavid, or you say, hey, the Avs, and you say blah, 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 blah. You notice how I'm mentioning players,
yeah.
right? And at no point does anybody know who the coach is of these teams? No.
Well,
they know who the player is of these teams. Okay? So why is the coach the face of the franchise?
Because we don't have a player good enough.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, tell her what she's won, Johnny. an all expense paid trip to the truth. Look, the Flyer, it was absolutely a PR move all freaking day long. All right? Because he is the face of the franchise. So that's why I said that's a very astute observation. But I think there's more going on here than what meets the eye. The fact that letter should have been written by Chuck Fletcher instead of Tortorella, okay, that throws big red flags as far as I'm concerned. And I'm hoping that maybe there's that phone call where I'm in a very nice hotel and I run over anyway. But I'm hoping that there's that call that comes that says that a certain axe is falling in a certain particular, or whatever they're going to do. I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm still afraid, and I'm still very much with very little faith in exactly what's going to happen with this team as far as their administration. I'm also going to say this as well, and this is just the truth. Unfortunately, we can't go back into the days of the Penguins, where for, 4 years in a row, they got number 1 draft picks over and over and got, Fleury, Malkin, Crosby, and Letang, and all these guys, all in the span of 3 or 4 years because of being really bad for a couple of years. So there's no such thing as tanking in the NHL when you have Coach Tortorella as your coach.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
He's too competitive?
That's just not part of what's going on. And that's the sad thing about Philadelphia. Right? So the coach is either... So the coach should have been brought in when AV was hired. Tortorella should have been hired at that point, but he wasn't the right fit at the right time for the Flyers. Unfortunately, he's the right coach for the Flyers right now, but they don't have the team / talent around him, and they don't have the general manager / administration around him that can give him the guys that he needs so that he can be the successful coach that he can be.
Right.
He's well known for getting as much out of the players that he has around him, but you can already see that some of the players are not going to be here next year.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay, and that's just the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm all for that. So I'm very sad that currently right now the Flyers will be picking 10th, not even getting a lottery pick, but
I mean, season's still got, a couple more months, so
30 games left.
Yay. I mean,
what are you going to do, right? They're going to keep trying to win. They're going to be going up against a lot of hardcore teams in the next couple of months here. It's not like it's going to be some kind of cakewalk road for them to do either. You know what I mean? They're going to go up against teams. They're going to definitely be outmatched.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
So, all right. Well, hey, let's talk about some good stuff.
Oh, there's good news?
Hey, good news. Right. We're going to talk about the farm team for the Flyers, being the Phantoms, who are trying to put it together. They're trying, okay, but they also, the AHL had their all-star game. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, okay, the Phantoms were well represented with 2 players.
That's good.
I was impressed with the fact that they had 2 players from the Phantoms there.
Who 2 players were that?
Tyson Foerster and Ronnie Attard. They were both draft picks from the Flyers in the last couple of years. Tyson Foerster being 2019 first round pick. Yeah, and Ronnie Attard being 2021. Yeah, Ronnie Attard was a defenseman, and Tyson Foerster is a forward. Both represented well, played well, did well at the All-Star game. Mm-hmm. So that's cool, right? And they're currently in 5th place in the division.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they're still fighting for a playoff spot. So they got some very important games coming up. They got about 30-odd games left as well. So they've got a couple of very important games coming up. Number 1 game, they're back in action again this Friday against the Hartford Whalers. And, the Hartford Wolfpack. and they need to win this game because Hartford is kind of banging at their heels, right behind them in the standings.
Oh, so they're like 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they need to win those games in order to keep climbing the standings in order to try to make the playoffs. Because Hershey right now is just kind of blowing the doors off, and they've only won one game against Hershey this year, and I'm looking to see the Phantoms try to do a little bit better here over this last stretch, because of the type of talent that's now starting to play for the Phantoms. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as we start getting closer and closer to springtime, when you start getting to the end of the NCAA seasons and some of the other leagues that'll be going away, we might get to see Cutter, Gauthier come back. I would really, really like to see Bobby Brink play sometime in the NHL. I would like to see these kids play.
Yeah. Just to see him.
What? What are we waiting for? What are you doing? Why are these old guys still playing? Seriously. If you're telling us that we're not there yet, then why aren't you playing the kids?
It's a good question. I don't know.
So, okay, that's where we're at. And the kids are playing for the Phantoms right now, so. All right. And this will be our last fun topic for the show.
I like fun topics.
I know, I like fun topics too, right? And we are talking about, that's right, folks, what gets your blood boiling more than the exciting starts and finishes of Formula One. And that's right, we're talking about Formula One here in February because we've already had one team release so far.
Okay.
Right?
Was that McLaren?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Haas.
Oh, okay, Haas.
Haas was the first team that's released, right? Their livery for the upcoming season, right? And Ferraris will be done on Valentine's Day. How appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
We get the Rosa color on the Rose Day. How about that? So
it's a Valentine to all the Tifosi.
It is, and God bless Ferrari for such wonderful thoughts. And so, speaking of Ferrari and wonderful thoughts, this year now they've pushed back some of the rules till 2024, but some of the major changes are going to happen this year.
What's the first major change that comes to mind?
So, the aerodynamics, the engines, the KERS systems, the designs of the cars, the functionality of the aerodynamics. Those are the types of things that are going to change. And they're also, I think they're also either reducing the cap or it's going to be something like that where teams are only going to be allowed to spend so much. I'm not a fan of that. I have never been a fan of that.
Well, you know why they're doing it, and it's to even the playing field. Well, sometimes the playing field isn't even.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to watch NASCAR.
Well,
I don't. Okay? I want to watch the pinnacle of racing. That's Formula One. That means that a team goes all out, spending whatever they need to spend to win.
I can see that. I can understand that point of view.
And the utmost and the limits of technology that you have to spend that money on, right, to make that car go that half a tick second faster to win that race.
I was going to say a lot of innovations have come out of Formula One that we have in our cars today.
Hello?
And the only reason that they were able to do that is because they did have, they didn't have to worry about a budget and, and trying to make things work and the way that somebody else wants them to work. Does that make sense?
It does, because when you have a Formula One team that has its own wind tunnel, its own test track, its own test drivers, its capability of doing testing and things of that nature with the components of the car and things of that nature, that just makes it a much better all-around product on the track, if you ask me.
Yeah, but who are we?
Right, who are we? And what do we know about any of this other stuff? I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? I am excited about the fact that there's going to be 22 races on the slate this season.
3 in the
Three
U.S.?
in the United States. Not all in a row. Right. They're gonna go to Canada. They're gonna come back for some European races. Then they're gonna come to Miami or something. Then they're gonna come back to some European races, and they're gonna come back. And so they're just gonna go ping, 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 ping. They're not gonna come over and do the European or the North American tour.
Which would make more sense.
You would think.
I mean, it's got to be easier.
The problem is that where the races are and the time of year that they need to be for where these races are located.
Okay, well, schedule them all in the early spring because all 3 are warm states or warm cities, so you do them. I know they usually start in Australia and in Brazil.
No, they've been starting now in like Australia used to be the first track that they would start at, and now they're starting at like Bahrain.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or one of those tracks, they're Abu Dhabi or somewhere they're starting at now, you know what I mean? And they're doing those tracks first. But the thing of it is that there's going to be 22 races on the slate this year, and 3 of them are going to be in the United States. You can't have the one in Miami during hurricane season, which is a good portion, second half of the Formula One season. So you kind of have to have that one early.
Yeah.
Right? And so then, all right, cool. So now what's the next one? Austin. Well, that one you can't have early and you can't have in the summer.
Well, no way.
So you got to have that one in the fall.
Or the spring.
Well, yeah, I guess you could kind of do that in the spring, maybe. All right. I mean, and then the Vegas one, the same thing. You're out in the desert, or, it's the desert, so you want to do that at a certain time of year, too, so it's not 165 degrees inside the car.
Right, exactly. We're not going to have drivers and mechanics and all that passing out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my drinks bottle doesn't work. Oh, well. Suck it out. Anyway, no, can't be doing that. But the other last thing I want to talk about here with the Formula One, and then we will be off, and that is this. There have been 3 of the top, the big hitters, the 3 big teams, right? Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull all have the same 2 drivers.
Nobody's moved on.
Nobody's moved. Nobody's gone anywhere. Nothing. Everything's the same. So Lewis and Russell for Mercedes, Leclerc and Sainz for Ferrari, and Verstappen and Perez.
Yeah.
Right.
We both had them.
Yeah. For Red Bull. Okay, so those stay the same. Everybody else can't say that. Alpine, McLaren, Aston Martin, Haas, Williams, and AlphaTauri all have had driver changes.
Okay.
Well, Haas got rid of Schumacher and brought back Nico Hülkenberg. Okay. Aston Martin now has Alonso driving for it. Right. And
Ricardo left.
Yeah, Ricardo left. He's going to be a reserve driver for Red Bull. Right. So you got some guys switching up for all the middle teams. You know what I mean? And so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be interested to see how some of the testing comes, because the testing is going to be happening here towards the end of February in Spain. The Catalonia track they usually, that's winter testing is there. So we'll see how things go. Usually the winter testing is never really the best indicator of how things are going to turn out, but it usually gives you an idea of how things are coming.
Right. Gives you a glimpse.
Yeah, a glimpse, right? That's all we're about, is a glimpse. So Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to have big, huge thank yous to Spreaker for their support and help in getting us out to all of the podcasting platforms and allowing you folks to hear us on all of your favorite listening platforms, from Google to iHeart to Apple to Spotify, you name it, we're out there. Type in the SteelFlyers Podcast and we'll come up and you will be able to listen to us. Thank you very much to that. Also, big thank you to Manscaped.com for your support, and really appreciate all that, and really would like to encourage everybody to go to Manscaped.com, type in the promo code SteelFlyers, all one word, and get 20% off your entire order, free shipping all over this land and world, and all you have to do is type in SteelFlyers and get 20% off. Go to Manscaped.com and get your performance package. Trust me, you will like it, and she will too. Thank you very much, RoNece.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you all very much for listening and checking us out. I'm your host, SteelFlyers. Just remember, folks, stay safe, stay strong, and hang tough.